Okay, so this is part 2 of my Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone review. Part 1, I knew that I would not be done by the end of part 1. There's just so much to discuss. So I'm going to just continue on and jump right into part 2 here. So I just spoke about the Sorting Hats song. It was incredibly important and it should not have been left out of the film. The second song mentioned in this book is the Hogwarts school song. This is more just a funny moment, especially when Dumbledore says, "And now before we go to bed, let us sing the school song," cried Dumbledore. Harry noticed that the other teachers' smiles had become rather fixed. Dumbledore gave his wand a little flick, as if he were trying to get a fly off the end, and a long golden ribbon flew out of it, which rose high above the tables and twisted itself in snake-like into words. "Everyone pick their favourite tune," said Dumbledore, and off we go. So then the school sings a song, which I'm not going to read out. But yeah, so I love this because Dumbledore's insisting that everyone sing the school song. And then he's saying, you pick a tune that you want to sing. It doesn't matter which one. So unlike any other school where you have to sing it in the way that the music was written, you can sing this however you want to sing it. You pick your own tune. And then when everyone else gets to the end of the song, it says, everybody finished the song at different times. At last, only the Weasley twins were left singing along to a very slow funeral march. Dumbledore conducted their last few lines with his wand, and when they had finished, he was one of those who clapped the loudest. I just think it's a really beautiful moment, how everyone gets to sing the song in their own way, and that the twins themselves, of course, choose the slowest one. They're the last one to end, and Dumbledore doesn't get impatient at all. He just keeps conducting them until they're done. It is beautiful. I do understand why it's not in the film. It's not exactly relevant, but I just think it was a really beautiful moment that would have added to the film anyway. In the film, Harry plays his first Quidditch match against Slytherin, which we do see. But he actually plays more than one Quidditch match in his first year at Hogwarts, and the second match is not shown. Now, I will say this, I love Quidditch in the book, I don't love it in the films, so I don't mind that they cut out any Quidditch match, but the second Quidditch match that is referenced in this book is actually very important for a sidebar to the match reason. The second Quidditch match is Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff, and Snape is going to be refereeing this. Now, obviously, Harry by now knows, or thinks in his mind, that Snape absolutely loathes him, and so he doesn't want Snape to be refereeing, and the other kids are all complaining, thinking that, Snape is going to go against them as far as scoring or fouls or anything like that. And the reason for this is, despite the fact that they're playing Hufflepuff, for those of you who don't know, Snape is head of Slytherin House. Even though they're playing Hufflepuff, if they beat Hufflepuff, Gryffindor will become number 1 on the ladder, where Slytherin currently are. So if Snape can stop Gryffindor from winning this match, Slytherin will remain as number 1. So you can understand what's going on there. And everyone was complaining about it. However, when Harry confronts Professor Quirrell at the end with the stone, Quirrell says to Harry that he confesses that he was the one that put the curse on Harry's broom in the first match, even though Harry thinks it's Snape. And Harry says, Snape was trying to save me. Quirrell says, of course. Why do you think he wanted to referee your next match? He was trying to make sure I didn't do it again. This is a very big moment because this is spoilers, so I can say it. I was just thinking, is it spoiler-free? But it's not. So spoiler, even though I didn't say it at the beginning, but it's part 2, and I said in part 1, so it should be okay. Let's keep going. As a reader, when you're reading this series, the more you progress through the book, one of the biggest questions that continues to run around in our minds is Snape good or evil? This is a very big moment that shows Snape's goodness. Not only at that first match, Quidditch match that is in the film, does Quirrell admit, I was trying to kill you, Snape was muttering a counter curse, so Snape was actually trying to save you, but also, in the book in the second match, he was refereeing to make sure I did not try to curse you again. It is a very big moment. Now, because the second match doesn't appear in the film, Quirrell obviously doesn't allude to the second match, but it should have. It would have shown Snape in an even brighter light than just the first match where he's muttering the counter curse, because it shows that, see, with the counter curse he's just sitting there muttering a curse, but with the second match he's going out of his way to actually physically referee this match just to make sure that Harry doesn't get hurt. I definitely feel this should have been added in the film, and it was very disappointing to me that it wasn't. I don't mind seeing less and less Quidditch because I just don't enjoy it. I love reading about it, but I just don't like seeing it on the screen. But this was an important moment with Snape refereeing and why he was refereeing, and it should have been added to the film. Now we're going to move on to the reason why I'm even comparing this to the film in the first place. Despite the fact that there is one major scene that I spoke about in part 1, which will be the last thing that I speak about, during this, that I knew that wasn't included in the film, during this most recent reread, I realised there is a major change that is made in the film. With the scene I'm going to talk about towards the end, it was something that they just left out that I wish they had put in. With this that I'm going to talk about now, they completely changed pretty much everything from this, and it creates cause for disaster because everything kind of spirals out of control because of it. What I'm talking about is Hagrid and Norbert. That whole thing is completely changed in the film. Let's get to why. Or I should say how. Excuse me. In the film, the funny moment that occurs in the book is still there, which I just think is so, not funny, it's more adorable. It's so adorable how Norbert's looking at Hagrid and big old, big massive Hagrid says, oh, bless him, he knows his mummy. I love that moment. It is so adorable. And yes, it's in the film, in the book. It's in the book and the film. So I appreciate that they left that there. But other than that, no. So after that whole scene where Draco looks in the window, which, anyway, in the next scene where they're going off to have the detention, so not the scene with McGonagall, but when they go off to have the detention, Hagrid's crying and the kids don't know why. And when Filch says, oh, you're not, still crying about that dragon, are you? Hagrid basically says something like, Dumbledore said that I had to give Norbert away, so he's taken Norbert to Romania. And then he starts crying about, what if Norbert doesn't like it in Romania, and what if the other dragons don't like him? No! Dumbledore has nothing to do with this, and it's infuriating because I don't think Dumbledore would have even done that. I think Dumbledore probably knew because Dumbledore just seems like a character that knows everything. But anyway, I think Dumbledore would have been fine with it. He probably would have said, look, place the dragon in the Forbidden Forest and let's hope it doesn't burn down. Dumbledore did not make Hagrid give up Norbert. That's not what happened. Here's what happened. So Hagrid ends up raising Norbert. Not for his whole life, but for a significant amount of time for the dragon to grow so big that with the dragon and Hagrid in the house, Fang, Harry, Hermione, Ron can no longer fit in there. That's how big the dragon is. The next thing you need to know is that possessing a dragon is illegal unless you have a license in Romania and your name is Charlie, but otherwise dragons are illegal. So the kids are trying to think of a way to remove the dragon so Hagrid doesn't get in trouble. It's not about Norbert shouldn't, be with Hagrid and we should just rip him away for no reason. Dragons are actually illegal and they don't mention that in the film. So Harry, Ron and Hermione don't want Hagrid at the very least to get, as Hermione would put it, expelled. So they're thinking of a way to get rid of the dragon so that Hagrid won't get in trouble. They come up, all four of them, agree on the idea, I believe that Ron came up with, or Harry, one of the two, that Charlie raises dragons in Romania. Would Hagrid mind if Charlie comes and takes the dragon away? At least that way, everyone will know that Norbert's in good hands. Hagrid agrees, Then they write a letter. Harry, Ron, and Hermione go to the Owlery and write a letter to Charlie. Charlie says, I can't come and pick it up, but my friends can. Can you give it to my friends? And they say yes. Now, we need to move on to the next point. In between the time of the kids writing to Charlie and Charlie writing back, they've had visits with the dragon. The dragon ends up biting Ron, okay? And Ron ends up, he bites him on the hand or the arm? The hand. He ends up biting Ron on his, Norbert bites Ron on his hand and the hand gets infected. Listen to this. Page 174 from this version. There was a hitch. By next morning, Ron's bitten hand had swollen to twice its usual size. He didn't know whether it was safe to go to Madame Pomfrey. Would she recognise a dragon bite? By that afternoon, though, he had no choice. The cut had turned a nasty shade of green. It looked as if Norbert's fangs were poisonous. So, Ron ends up in the hospital. This is important to know because it's Harry and Hermione who meet up with Charlie's friends and give him the dragon. This is important to note because, unlike in the film, Draco Malfoy tells Professor McGonagall in the book that Harry and Hermione are coming past with a dragon. Harry and Hermione end up getting the dragon to Charlie's friends, and they are so relieved when this happens that on the way back down the stairs, I believe they go to the astronomy tower, on the way back downstairs, they leave the invisibility cloak behind, and they are caught by Filch. And now, if you please, we need to add book canon Neville into the equation. On page 177, it says, had Harry thought things couldn't have been worse, he was wrong. When Professor McGonagall appeared, she was leading Neville. Harry, Neville burst out the moment he saw the other two. I was trying to find you, to warn you. I heard Malfoy saying he was going to catch you. He said you had a drag. Neville is with McGonagall. He's caught out of bed after hours. Let's put all of this together. Draco has told McGonagall about Harry and Hermione, not Ron. So we have Draco, Harry, Hermione. Now we have Neville. Neville's trying to warn them that they're going to be caught by McGonagall, but instead he's caught by McGonagall. Ron is in hospital. So the four people that are caught by McGonagall are Draco, Harry, Hermione, Neville, not Ron. Not Ron at all. He is, not only is he safe in hospital, but he has the perfect alibi being, not in hospital, in the hospital wing, but he has the perfect alibi being in the hospital wing. So it is those four that end up serving the detention, and when they get to the edge of the forest, or when they get to the point in the forest where Hagrid has them split up, instead of Harry going with Draco and Hermione and Ron, for whatever reason, going with Hagrid, Hagrid does a nice thing for Harry and Hermione. He says, Harry and Hermione, you come with me, and Draco goes with Neville into the Forbidden Forest. So this is completely different to what they put in the film. And they do this in other books as well, and it really frustrates me more than other things is when they completely change a storyline that does not need changing. I'm sorry I'm getting upset, but this is just not true to the book at all. Ron should be in the hospital wing. He should not be in the Forbidden Forest. He is not there in the book. Why is he there in the film? Why is Neville not there? Neville should definitely be there. The staircases move, remember? No. Not in this book. The staircases do not move. The staircases do not matter. The staircases are simply staircases. Okay? I'm sorry, but this is something that really annoys me about any of the Harry Potter films that do this. They add things in that aren't even in the book in the first place. That is worse to me than leaving things out. Why are you making something up that wasn't even in the book? And it gets worse as we go along. There's a rant about the Weasleys, the Burrow, that I have so much to say on that, but we'll get to that at some point. But anyway, yeah, the stairs don't move. At least it's not written about in the first book. The children aren't on stairs that move, and therefore it leads them to the third floor, and that leads them to Fluffy. That's not how it happens. But the only reason I can see that they've come up with this stair moving thing that conveniently leads them to the third floor is that it eliminates 3/4 of the Norbert story that we've just spoken about that didn't eventuate in the film. So had they just kept the Norbert story, they wouldn't have to do the stair thing, and the stairs could just stay stationary and not move. This just annoyed me. And now we get on to my biggest gripe. This is the one that I've been referring to since part 1, where I said I remembered that this was not in the film. And I remember that it wasn't in the film because it always had such a massive impact on me reading it in the book. And then the fact that they didn't include it in the film really upset me because it was my favourite part of that whole moment. So, once we get past Fluffy and go down the trapdoor, even from the moment we hit the plant, the kids go through all these different protections for the stone. They go through the devil's snare, yep. Then they get to the flying keys. Then they get to the chessboard, and then Ron is knocked out, and so Hermione looks after him while Harry goes off and sees Quirrell. No. They're missing a massive moment, and it really grates me because I loved this moment in the book. First of all, it's not to say that Harry and Hermione don't care about Ron. Clearly, they do. They're all really good friends. But none of them tends to Ron. Once Ron is knocked out, Harry completes the chess game, yes, says checkmate, and then they move on to the next room together. Both of them, Harry and Hermione, leaving Ron behind. Hopefully Ron will come back around soon, but we've still got to keep going. So they do. There is no Hermione saying, Harry, Ron's right, you have to go on, and you're a really good wizard, and da-da-da. That doesn't happen in that room. It happens in the next room. In the next room, there are 7 vials. It is a table with 7 differently shaped bottles on it. Starting on page 206 of this version is a clue that comes with the bottles, and the clue reads, "Danger lies before you while safety lies behind. 2 of us will help you whichever you will find. 1 among us 7 will let you move ahead, another will transport the drinker back instead. 2 among our number hold only nettle wine, 3 of us are killers waiting hidden in line. Choose unless you wish to stay here forevermore. To help you in your choice, we give you these clues 4. First, however slyly the poison tries to hide, you will always find some on nettle wine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onwards, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all a different size, neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and the second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight." And I'm going to keep reading. Hermione let out a great sigh, and Harry, amazed, saw that she was smiling, the very last thing he felt like doing. "Brilliant," said Hermione. "This isn't magic, it's logic, a puzzle. A lot of the great wizards haven't got an ounce of logic, they'd be stuck in here forever." "But so will we, won't we?" "Of course not," said Hermione. "Everything we need is here on this paper. 7 bottles, 3 are poison, 2 are wine, 1 will get us safely through the black fire, and 1 will get us back through the purple." And so what I just read there basically gave it away. So there's a fire, an orange or red fire that can take you back to the chessboard, and there's a black fire that takes you on to what we know is the scene with Quirrell. And they have to work out which potion to drink. Despite the fact that Hermione's brilliance is shown with the devil's snare, she shines so much more in this scene. Because if not for Hermione, there's no way Harry was going to get through, or going to get through as quickly, or he would have picked the wrong bottle. We needed Hermione in this room, and it shows her natural brilliance and intelligence, and it really shines brightly. But it's not included in the film. I really wish they could have kept that in the film so that it could have been appreciated even more. Look at how brilliant she is. And honestly, as much as I find Snape to be one of my least favourite teachers, I actually loved this test the most out of all of them because I love logic. So that's why I was a massive fan of that test more than any of the others, and really was disappointed that it was not included in the end of the film. Just quickly to one thing that I forgot to mention in the first part, I want to talk about Neville. In the film, when they're having the flying lesson with Madame Hooch, and she says, "Don't kick off the ground until I blow my whistle," which honestly, that annoyed me because she blows her whistle, Neville kicks up from off the ground, and she said, "Mr. Longbottom, what are you doing?" And my very first thought, watching it the first time in the cinemas, was, you just blew your whistle. You said kick off the ground when you blow your whistle. He did when you blew your whistle. So what's your issue, honey? But anyway, I'll let that go. In the film, once again, they have to have an action scene that's not in the film, that's not in the book. It's not to say that Neville doesn't fly up before everyone else and that an accident occurs, because it does. It's just nowhere near as dramatic as the film makes it, with Neville flying up and zipping off and here and there and banging into the castle, and then his clothes get hooked on the thing and then he falls and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so much that goes on. It takes a good 3 minutes to get through this scene. So many words I want to use there that I won't. But that's nowhere, it's nowhere near as dramatic as that. So, from page 109 of this version of the book, we go from the moment where Neville has pushed off from the ground. "Come back, boy," shouted Madame Hooch. But Neville was rising straight up like a cork shot out of a bottle. 12 feet, 20 feet. Harry saw his scared white face look down at the ground, falling away, saw him gasp, slip sideways off the broom, and wham! A thud and a nasty crack, and Neville laid face down in the grass in a heap. So, he went up, slipped, fell. Not up, zoom, hit a wall, and da-da-da-da-da. None of that happened. He went up, slip, fell. That's it. But because we had to take so much time to go through all of that stuff, and because we had to deal with the friggin' staircase and other things that they add in that aren't necessary, we didn't get to see the potion scene, and that just really annoyed me. In saying that, as we end my film rant, the book itself I love. It is such a beautiful book. I have so many nostalgic reasons as to why I love this book, but still to this day, it holds up to what it was the first time I read it. It is a magical journey that is incredibly short, because this book is a really short book, but you feel like you're running through it because you just want to read more and more and more and more and more. And as I said in my end of week wrap up for the first half of week 1 of May, the only regret I have with finishing this book is that I now need to wait another week before I can pick up book 2, because I have other books on my TBR. But I love this book. The book is amazing. The only issues I had was the way that the film adapted it with certain things here and there. Now, in saying that, on the whole, I love the film. The film is really good. I love the first 3 films of Harry Potter. I think they're amazing. I think they're done really well. My first gripe is, as far as films are concerned, that is a massive gripe, is with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which we will talk about at the end of May, because that's the 4th book I'm reading. I'm reading it in week 4. We'll talk about it then, and believe me, I will go there. But the first 3 films I thought were really good, and I loved how they were done. But it's just with where I'm at now as a reader compared to where I was prior to BookTube, I found so many inaccuracies doing my read through this time and then rewatching the film that I just had to mention them here. But all in all, I love the film. If I'm not comparing the film to the book, I love the film as a standalone. I love the book, regardless. But in total, I gave the film 3.5 stars. I gave the book 5 stars because the book is just absolutely amazing. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. Okay, I think I've ranted more than enough about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. If you're American, this is called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And the reason for that, we should quickly go into that. The reason for that is because the marketers thought that people in America would not understand what a philosopher was. Now, I know so many Americans on BookTube that have reviewed this book that have said something to the effect of, why wouldn't we know? We know what philosophers are. I even have friends in America that I've spoken to about this, and my friends in America who aren't booktubers have said, yeah, we know what philosophers are. We never understood why they called it sorcerers in the first place. So no one gets it. It should have just been called Philosopher's Stone for everyone. But yeah, so that just explains that quick thing. It was a marketing thing. They just thought that Americans wouldn't understand philosopher, the term philosopher. So in the film, when Hermione says Nicholas Flamel is the creator of the Philosopher's Stone in the Sorcerer's Stone, she obviously says Nicholas Flamel is the creator or inventor, whatever it is, of the Sorcerer's Stone. And I think it's like there's 1, 2, or maybe 3 lines where philosopher's taken out, sorcerers is inserted. Sorcerers is inserted, and that's it. The rest of the film is the same. The rest of the book is exactly the same. So there we go. All right, leaving it there, letting sleeping dogs lie, because I've talked more than enough about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone book and film. I love the book. It's absolutely amazing. And even though I have issues with the film, overall as a standalone, I thought the film was great. As a book, it is not only great, it is a must read. If you have not read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I definitely recommend you read it. And I'm going to give you a reason why. I read Lord of the Rings last month, and I was one of those early on where I said, I don't watch Lord of the Rings because I'm a Harry Potter fan. Yes, I did. I actually said those words. I don't have anything to do with Lord of the Rings because I'm a Harry Potter fan. Last month, I read the 4 Lord of the Rings books from Hobbit all the way through to The Return of the King, and I watched all 6 films. And I have to say that if I can do that, if you have not read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, you can read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It is a fun book. It is a middle grade. Trust me, you will enjoy this book. So I would not say that if I didn't think it was true. There is a reason why there were so many children around the world that didn't like reading, that picked up this book and suddenly they loved reading. It's not a gimmick. It is the magic, pun intended, it is the magic of J.K. Rowling as a writer, particularly with book 1 and her world building of this Harry Potter world, Hogwarts and magicians and everything to do with this book. That is so amazing. You won't regret it. Pick it up, read it, let me know what you think. So 5 stars from me. That's my review of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I will be back next week to review Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, both book and film. But until then, I'm letting you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. I post videos every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday with my reviews on Mondays, my midweek vlog on Wednesday, and my midweek vlog on Thursday, and my end of week vlog on Sunday. And so I will see you soon. Mwah. Happy reading. Bye guys. Bye.